Hi everyone, and welcome to the Crazy Bean YouTube cooking channel. We've started this cooking channel because obviously we can't have the restaurant open, but we still want to share the food that you love. And the way that we want to do that is to share the recipes with you of some of our most popular and favorite dishes. So in this first series, we really want you to cook along. We want you to have a go. We are going to be sharing the most popular dishes, including the cauliflower wings, the barbecue wrap, and some other amazing dishes that we've done over the last few years. But today we're focusing on an amazing bake that we do, which is our Crazy Bean sponge cake. I'm going to be doing a caramel flavour one today, but I'll explain as we go through that you can do any flavour that you like with this particular recipe. And it's so simple. Anybody can do it. I promise you the whole family will be able to cook this amazing cake. And the other thing, the reason we wanted to share this is because we know a lot of you are having birthdays in lockdown and we don't want you to miss out on having some amazing cake while you're having your birthday. So what I've got here, really simple ingredients that everyone will have at home or that you can easily get at any supermarket. And I'm going to talk you through that now. So first of all, in here, I have 400 grams of self-raising flour. And in there, I've already put 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I have 240 grams of caster sugar. I have 400 mils of soya milk. Now, you can use any kind of plant-based milk that you love. Coconut milk, almond milk, oat milk, it'll all work exactly the same. And obviously you get slightly different flavors with the different milks. You get a lovely, slightly nutty flavor with almond milk. You get a really lovely sweet coconut flavor with the coconut milk. So do use the one that you like or experiment, try a few different ones. 160 mils of oil. Now, as long as it's a vegetable-based light oil that doesn't have too much flavor, we use rapeseed oil in our recipe, but any vegetable oil that is not too flavorsome will be perfect for this recipe. And finally, I have 2 tablespoons of the flavor that you want to use. I'm going to use a caramel today. You can buy these amazing little flavors in Tesco, or you can use natural flavoring. We'll talk about that a little bit later as we're putting the cake together. But today I'm going to use an essence. If you add a pinch of salt as well, you get a nice salted caramel flavor. But today I'm just sticking with caramel. So let's get on. I'm going to share with you as we go along a couple of really important baking tips when it comes to vegan baking. The first one is this one. We always mix the wet and dry separately because in vegan cooking, vegan baking, the baking powder is where the fluffiness and the bubbles come from to make it a light and fluffy cake. So we don't want to put the wet in with the baking powder until we're ready to quickly mix and put it straight in the oven, because the wet activates that baking powder and the bubbles start to be made straight away. And as soon as that activation happens, we want to have it combined so that we can capture those bubbles in the heat as quickly as possible and make sure that they stay in the cake all set in that bubble form. So what I'm going to do here is mix them separately. The second tip is when I do bring them together and combine them is to mix it really nice and quickly because, again, because of timing, but also we don't want to mix too vigorously or too long because otherwise we'll activate the gluten in the flour and then that will make it a really dense, chewy kind of a consistency. And that's really not what we want in our cake. So I'm going to start by putting the wet ingredients together in this bowl here. Again, keeping them nice and separate. And to that, I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons of flavour. Now, again, in Tesco, you can get lemon flavour, orange flavour, all sorts of things to go and have a look. And even if you just make this with a nice vanilla essence, it's a really lovely cake to make a classic vanilla sponge cake. So here's my 2 tablespoons of caramel. Perfect. And I'm going to add my sugar to my dry mix. Right, now before I bring those mixtures together, what I'm going to do, hopefully you can see that okay, is I'm just going to take my whisk and I'm just going to comb through the dry mixture just to break down any big lumps or anything, because we don't want to have to deal with those while our mixtures are together. We just want to make sure it's all kind of sifted through. You can sift through ingredients, but I find that this does just a good job. Right, now I'm ready. Now, before I do this, the really important thing, you don't want to get caught out, is you need to have your tin ready. Now, all I've done in here is I have covered it with some vegan spread. Any kind of spread will do from the supermarket. And in the bottom, I'm hoping you can see here, okay, I've put in a piece of parchment paper, just right in the bottom there. I've cut it to the same size and shape as the tin and popped it in the bottom. And that'll make sure that your cake doesn't stick once it's baked. Right, so here we go. Again, we're going to be nice and quick and not mix too vigorously. So I'm going to pour that in there. Put that to one side. Here we go. So I'm just going to try and combine that as quickly as possible without activating that gluten in the flour. So you're just bringing it together nice and carefully. Now, if there's a couple of lumps, that's okay. You want to get as many out as you can, but a couple of lumps you honestly won't notice once you bake the cake. Right, so I think that's about done. And if we stop and look, if you were to look at your own mixture when you do it, you would already be able to see those bubbles starting to form. So we want to get that in the oven as quickly as we can. Right, so I'm going to pour the mixture into my tin. Now, this is an 8-inch baking tin. You will have similar sized cake tins at home. Anything around that sort of size is perfect for a family cake. You'll get about 8 to 10 really good slices out of a tin this size. There we go. It's a nice bowl for someone to lick later. Now, final tip is we're going to bang this tin so that any big bubbles, air bubbles caught in the mixture, come to the surface before we pop it in the oven. So, might be a bit loud. There we go. So I've got all the bubbles out. I want to get that in the oven as quickly as possible and bake that. There we go. So I've put that in the oven that was preheated at 170 degrees. I bake a little bit lower as well than a normal. Normally people will say 180 for a cake, 170. And if your oven's a hot oven like mine is here at home, then I've actually put it a little bit lower, about 165. Perfect. It's not going to catch. It's going to bake all the way through really evenly. Have that oven preheated and get that cake in as quickly as you can. So hopefully you can see how easy that is and how anybody can do this amazing cake. In our next video, I'm going to take that cake and show you how to make an amazing buttercream to go with it and how to decorate it really nicely in a simple way that everybody can have fun with. So do tune into that next video.